If you have what others believe to be a substantial amount of money, you cannot keep it hidden. Somebody will find out. That's why you need to pay close attention to today's podcast. I'm Justin Hitt with Sustainable Wealth Secrets. When you're following the strategies that we teach, you will convert a large amount of your income into net worth. You'll buy assets that cash flow. The money will multiply. And eventually, no matter how hard you try, people are going to figure out that you have means. Maybe you inherited money. Maybe you're sold a business. There will be some point in your life where there'll be a large amount of cash in your bank account and people will come running. Here's the biggest challenge today. A lot of folks out there want to increase their wealth, but they want to do it through other people's money. They want a loan. They want favors. They want you to just give them money. There are so many challenges. So there's a story about a gentleman who won the lottery, several $1,000,000. And on the day he found out he won the lottery, he called all of his friends and told them, look, I need $1,000. I can't tell you why. I need it immediately. Please bring it to my house. I've got to have $1,000 right now. Now he went down to all of his friends and asked them. And some of his friends showed up at the house, gave him $1,000 to borrow. And the next day, when the news story came out that he'd won the lottery, suddenly his phone was ringing off the hook. Now, not as many people were ringing off the hook as before, but his phone was ringing off the hook as people knew he had money. But he simply said, look, when I needed the money, you were not available. So now that I have the money, I'm not loaning it out. Okay, I'm not giving it out. I'm not giving it away. And so he knew who his close circle was because they came to his need when time was required. And then he had a really good reason not to give the money away. The realistic perspective of this is the first year you get a large amount of money, you're going to pay taxes on it. You're going to have tax issues other than just the income tax of it. You're going to have debt that may need to be settled. You may have emotional connections to the money. Perhaps you received an inheritance and you really cared about the person. You could view that money in two different ways. One way that you don't deserve it. You receive this inheritance and you don't deserve it because you didn't earn it. And therefore you feel like you got to give it all away. See, that's a problem because you wouldn't have it if you didn't deserve it. And whoever has left you the money wanted you to have it. Otherwise you wouldn't have gotten it. The second problem could be is that you've never had that kind of money before. And when you get that kind of money, you make dumb decisions. So again, what we're talking about here in today's podcast is that eventually people are going to find out you got money and they're going to come looking for it. And there are lots of really good ways to set up that capital so that you can not have to tell somebody no. You can give them an alternative that doesn't put your capital at risk. I know a lot of people don't think that this is a real thing, but anytime you look like you've got money, you might have something that shows up in the news, like winning a lottery, or it's just not winning a lottery is not likely to happen to anybody on this list because you're not buying lottery tickets, and it's not a very good investment. But do you see my point? The obituary comes out, and you end up with a bunch of money. You end up with a new car. People are going to ask about the money. Here's another point you can do. I have a program called a Capital Leverage Program, and it is where you deposit funds into a bank, and then you negotiate with the bank to borrow money at a favorable rate below what you deposit the money. It allows you to multiply your cash flow while lowering your risk on the initial deposit. Well, you can use this to build relationships with banks so that when you have a large amount of money come in or people start to discover that you have money, here's the solution. Great, I would love to give you a loan, but I don't do loans. I'm not in the banking business. But let me refer you to somebody at a bank who can look over your situation and see if you qualify for a loan. See, that's reasonable. You're not a bank. You don't give out loans. You don't have an application process. Please go talk to this bank or that bank. And this does two things, by the way. They go to the bank if they have a legitimate, means to borrow the money and a means to repay it. The bank will loan them money. But also it shows the bank that you trust them with your friends, family, and others, and that referral buys some relationship value. I think the bigger point is that as you apply these strategies, it's going to be hard to hide how much money you have. And it's not just money. It's the 8 forms of capital that we talk about, those relationships and stuff. You're going to be a more connected person. And then people will come to you with legitimate business opportunities. Now, it's very important for you to have the skills to evaluate these business opportunities, but more importantly, to move them arm's length from you. Besides well-meaning people, there are actually people who go out and scam. There's people who watch different types of credit scores and mailing lists in order to find people who they can trick. Or even worse, the salesperson that shows up that wants to wants you to buy the RV and buy the boat. Oh, you can afford it. You deserve it. All that language. The key is we practice now the language, the mindset, and the focus that allows you to maximize the velocity of that money. So you inherit $1 million. $1 million is going to produce $40,000 a year. Sit on the money for the first year. Take that $40,000 as your baseline cash flow for the asset, which is the money, and then see what you can do to build it from there. See, you didn't risk the initial capital. You've had time to think about it, to look at your tax situation, to go over your finances with a qualified financial advisor or a qualified CPA. And then you're in a situation now that if somebody comes along, the emotions aren't there, the guilt's not there, the frustration's not there. Many subscribers have been in situations where they've now got the means and it goes away very quickly. Inflation's another issue as well. I'm telling you to sit on the money for the first year, only pay necessary expenses, maybe reduce your debt or improve your cash flow. Maybe it's hiring an advisor or someone who's going to work with you to place that capital where it can best benefit you and the people around you. But ultimately, using the bank as a storage location. You don't have to store all the money there, by the way. You're not going to get a good interest rate. There's a strategy for making large deposits. But ultimately, hey, I've got a relationship with this bank down the street. I believe that if you get your paperwork together and you go down there, they may have something for you. You're not telling the other person no. They may have a really good business idea, and you might call ahead to the bank manager and say, hey, look, I'm going to send somebody down there. I'm not endorsing the person. I haven't looked over their plan. But if what they have is really good, I'd like you to give me a call back just so I know that this guy went through with it. See, the bank manager wants these relationships. They want the referrals. They want to write mortgages. They want to write loans. But they're in the business of doing this. They've got insurance set up. I used to loan money to investors for mortgages. So I was a private mortgage company, I guess. And I had a couple of these loans out here, not a huge amount, but I only loaned those to people who I knew I was going to get my money back. And then I knew that if something went wrong and I wasn't going to get my money back, that I could, in all due recourse, still get my money back. So, but it's not a situation you want to be in. The real situation you want to be is that your money is growing, that your money is low risk but high reward, and then ultimately the money leverages these other relationships that are necessary to retain and grow that wealth. Again, sustainable wealth is about, you receive a blessing, multiply the blessing, and create the maximum benefit. Now, who gets the maximum benefit first? It's you, it's your family, it's those very close to you. Beyond that, there's a whole economy to help these individuals. And it's not that, see, here's the thing, because somebody could bring you a really good business idea. It's not that you're telling them no. You're just redirecting them somewhere else who can help them in the short term. And if they have a harebrained plan, it's the bank telling them they got a harebrained plan. And when they come back to you and say, well, the bank wouldn't lend me any money. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But like I said, I'm not a bank and I've got a lot of expenses on my own. And ultimately, wishing you the best of luck. It sounds a little heartless, but again, there are types of people out there that sniff a little bit of money and they think you got it and they're going to come after you to try to make the most of it. and try to get something for nothing. If they're not willing to talk to a bank, if they're not willing to talk to a CPA, if they're not willing to talk to a lawyer before you seriously consider the investment, then it's not a really good business on their part. It's a whim. It's a problem. And again, these strategies help you address it. There's a lot of social strategies you can use. There's some community development. There's also understanding how the relationships may change when you have capital involved directly, and also how we preserve not only the relationship, but the underlying capital, because projects will fail. A perfectly good project, you put money into it, it can fail for no reason of the parties involved. How do we hedge our risks to make sure the funds go? And I'll give you one idea before I close out. Sometimes you want to do matching funds. Hey, look, your business idea, it looks interesting. I'm not really sure about it, but go talk to these 3 individuals. Give me written feedback from each of the 3 individuals, and then we'll sit down and go over your business plan. You haven't told them no. But if you get 3 people coming back that you referred to and they all say, this is a good deal, this is something you need to be investing in, then you can now partner with the bank and basically invest into the idea. Because we don't want to push away ideas that are valuable. We just want to make sure that we aren't bombarded with harebrained ideas and people just mooching and, I've done so much for you in the past, and, at the least you could do is help me out a little bit in this tough situation. Oh, I'd love to help you out. And I really think you're deserving of the help. But right now things are a little tight. I need you to go talk to so-and-so. Okay? See if they can't get you a line of credit. No, I'm not going to sign on the line of credit. They need to look at your situation independently because we've got a connection here, and I don't want to compromise that. See, this language is about sustaining the wealth, protecting the wealth, and when possible, growing the wealth. And yes, people will be angry at you, but again, it's how that interaction plays out, and it starts before you have the money. Okay, it's okay to be a stingy bastard because you've got to pay for your future needs. You got to pay for your family needs. There's asset protection that's necessary to make sure a business can continue to run year after year. If you're going to become your own bank and you're funding your own insurance and you're funding your own, borrowing money from your own trust, for example, or borrowing money from some kind of organization that you own or control, it's going to take way more capital than you can think of. So if you got a $10 million inheritance or $100 million sale of a business, or ultimately even a $1 billion in cash, if you're not careful with it, you can lose it all. You can lose it in buying power. You can lose it to bad opportunities or bad deals. A lot of charitable organizations are going to pop up as soon as you have money, or people figure out you got money. And there's going to be a lot of folks trying to waste your time. If you don't have a system in place, then you're going to make bad decisions. You're going to feel bad about those decisions. You're going to have challenges that are going to limit your ability to grow. I want to thank you for listening. I'm Justin Hitt with Sustainable Wealth Secrets. We do have consulting opportunities where if you've got a business, perhaps you're selling your business and you want to make it worth more money for sale, or you've got a large amount of capital and you're looking at specific types of projects, or you want to leverage that capital to gain control of relationships in your region or area, then you visit www.sustainablewealthsecrets.com. Go to the contact page and then just ask your questions. And by the way, if you're just listening to this program, I encourage you to write in with your questions. I love to hear from you. And again, I'm Justin Hitt with Sustainable Wealth Secrets, where we help transform income into net worth and more. Thanks for listening.